Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about Loki. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you love the podcast and want to support it further, you can join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family. Benefits include getting an individual card pulled for you once a month, live on the podcast, or if you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch level on the Patreon. I recently recorded an hour-long video episode for the new moon in Libra that we welcomed in on September 22nd, 2025. If you missed the live, check out the new moon in Libra collective tarot reading replay now to get all the latest info. I'll be speaking at the Queer Joy Summit that is next week, hosted by Colette Dalton this October. The summit is a week, October 13th through the 19th, completely free and online, and it's all about centering queer joy as survival, resistance, and connection. I'll be talking all about queering the tarot alongside an incredible lineup of queer artists, healers, rebels, and dreamers. Together we'll laugh, maybe cry, and remind each other that joy is not optional. It's ours right here, right now. So this event is free to attend and you can sign up at the link in the show notes. I'd love for you to join me and the rest of this beautiful queer community. And if you sign up for that, you will also get a bonus mystic hangout that I will be holding with one of the other witchy presenters for the Queer Joy Summit, Emily Holding. Where we're going to be doing, like I said, a mystic hangout at 3 p.m. Pacific time on the 13th, where I will be doing a collective tarot reading for everyone there, and Emily will be doing individual readings for folks. So, if you're not able to attend live and you register for the summit, you will still get the recording for the collective tarot reading and any individual readings that folks are okay being recorded. If anyone doesn't want them recorded, then they won't be on there. But yeah, I'm so excited to do that as well, to get to connect with some folks one-on-one and just meet other people that are doing the Queer Joy Summit. So I hope you're able to attend any or all of that as well. I was recently on Kayla Moore's Connected Pleasure podcast. You can check out my episode of Kayla's podcast where we talked all about living by the body, dreaming of land, and weaving the future. I talked a lot about settling in on the new property where I live now. And Kayla's dreams for her own property in the future. And you'll hear about it in the episode about how Kayla and I were connected to each other, but we first met in person at one of their sacred singing circles that they hold. As someone who grew up singing in choir, it was incredible to get to be in that space with her and a colleague and connect with singing in such an empowering, connected, and ritualistic way in her lovely space in Gig Harbor. Kayla is now actually in the middle of a launch for their one-on-one coaching container right now this week. I'll be upfront in stating I am an affiliate for them, and I think they're amazing and do incredible work in the realm of the divine feminine. So Kayla's books are open for their launch period, October 6th through the 12th. So you still have, a couple more days to sign up for that. So Kayla's one-on-one coaching program is an 8-week private journey for women who feel disconnected from their sexual desire and are ready to reclaim it on their own terms. Together, you'll unravel the knots of shame, pressure, and conditioning that have silenced desire and begin reweaving connection to the body, erotic energy, and pleasure. This is an intimate, personalized work where women learn practices to awaken desire, create safety in their bodies, and integrate pleasure into daily life. By the end of the journey, they feel more connected to themselves, more confident in their erotic voice, and free to experience desire as a natural, sacred part of who they are. So I have the link to Kayla's offer page in the show notes at connectedpleasurecoaching.com. If you want to work with me more directly and you don't live local to me, I'm offering a Tarot for Transformation live course. We're going to be deep diving the first 12 of the major arcana cards all together as we embody archetypes and learn about how to transform ourselves through the tarot. I know I've been kind of teasing this for a bit. I am going to be pivoting from making it a 12-week adventure to a 12-month adventure. So You can check out the full details in the show notes or sign up for more interest, and I'll send out more info as we get closer. So I'm going to be kicking it off in January of 2026, and we're going to deep dive into each major arcana card, one per month. So it's going to be a much more longer process, a deeper dive. I'm going to have workbooks, we're going to have live calls, and also I'll record them if you're unable to attend them live, where we're going to learn about how to embody an archetype, how do you take lessons from that archetype of, the major arcana, the Fool or the Magician or the Emperor, and bring that into our daily life in this sort of like monthly capacity. It will give us a lot of time to kind of work on that, to do journaling, do some reflection on ourselves, and kind of work on this tarot for transformation where we're going to be transforming ourselves through kind of like self-improvement and growth, and also just kind of exploring like what are the things that we want and how can we use the archetypes that are gifted to us in the tarot to kind of have this thing to hold on to as we navigate the next 2 years. Because if I do one a month, there are 22 major arcana cards. So I'll be set for 2 years doing that. I will have the option to sign up for like the whole year of events. And also you can just do like a one-off if there's a particular card that's interesting to you, or just you're able to make it that month and you really want to get all the goodies. So that's kind of how that's going to work. I'll start rolling out more details about that, because I just kind of pivoted this idea I've had for a while into something that feels a lot more resonant with what I was hoping for. So get excited about that. And if you don't already know, I am a sex and relationships therapist and coach where I see folks individually and also relational clients, which are like, couples, spouses, I touched the mic, polycules, families of any kind. That's what relational clients means. I see everyone virtually from my home office. I love working with queer, poly, and witchy clients. So if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website to book a free consultation now to start that journey. If you're interested in crafting your own tarot cards, you're tarot curious, and you want to get into some creativity, you can get my full workshop, which has an hour-long recording, which lays out my whole step-by-step method, examples of tarot cards I've made, which I've made a lot, I think over 30 now, journaling questions to kind of help you facilitate the idea of what kind of cards you want to make, how you want to do it, what kind of themes, and a PDF to walk you all through it for just $33. And yeah, just so you know, like you're not required to draw or be artistic or kind of do that kind of thing. My methodology is collaging, so it's pretty like free form, but also like you don't have to be super artsy to do it. I would say like it requires some creativity, but it's pretty fun. When, if you're local to me, I do these sometimes where I bring all the materials and we do tarot card crafting together. But this is if you're not local to me and you want to get kind of like the whole package of the recording where I lay out my method. You get to see all the cards I've made in kind of different styles and get some inspiration. Some journaling questions, like I said, to kind of like pull out ideas from you. Do you want to create a certain tarot card? Are you going to look at imagery and then decide what card is evoked in that imagery? Like you get to decide, and then you'll have a PDF to walk you all through it as well, and I'll tell you all about that. So the link is in the show notes to purchase that now. And like I said, it's pretty like easy. If you've ever heard of like soul collage, it's kind of like that. But yeah, basically I suggest you have like any sort of collaging material, so like magazines, books that are falling apart, stickers, seed catalogs, old calendars, the you aren't using anymore, but that have very pretty art, like scissors. A glue stick is my preferred method, and then usually we just create them on index cards because that's about the right size for tarot cards that you could hold. And then if you make it a whole deck, which I have not done yet, but I have a friend that has done pretty close to it, or they do it as they go, then you can laminate them, and that way you can actually like shuffle them and not have them like falling apart, because glue sticks aren't like the best for that part of it, but it really does help with the layering and just like quickly drying. So so that's kind of like my methodology, but if you want me to kind of go along with you and tell you how to do it, that is like a great package to grab. If you're interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. I send out a weekly newsletter that always has the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations I'm doing, musings, info, photos of my day-to-day life. So if you want to see the farm, if you want to see my garden, if you want to see what I'm up to more personally, that's a great place to go. Or if you just want like to have one place where you're getting weekly updates about everything that I'm doing or offers coming up, that's a great way to do it. If you're local and want to meet me in person to like Greater Puget Sound area, I have my Let's Talk Tarot meetup group where, like I said, we chat with other tarot enthusiasts, bring your favorite decks, play with tarot and oracle decks together with us. And usually I do some social meetups that are like meet at a restaurant, a cafe, like bring your deck and we just hang out and talk and pull some cards for each other. And then I also do tarot card crafting events. So, I need to kind of like get some more stuff on the calendar going forward, but if you join the meetup group and you're local to me and you're interested, then you'll get any emails or notifications for when I post new events. So that's super fun. And then if you're interested in celebrating the full moon, I'm holding full moon women's circles for the rest of 2025. So you can join my colleague Izzy and I under the glow of the full moon for an evening of connection, reflection, and ritual. We'll be meeting at Thresholds Collective in Tacoma in a lovely like yoga studio space the first Sunday of the month to welcome in the full moon together. So upcoming dates are, we just had one on October 5th, so over the weekend, which was lovely. We'll have one November 2nd and also December 7th. And I think we will assess as we get closer to the end of 2025 if we're going to keep doing this for 2026. So I'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, all the tickets are available all the way through December right now. So go ahead, get those on your calendar and sign up if you're local. And you can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. All right, well, welcome to season 16, where I'm talking all about queer deities. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. I've talked tarot and pop culture, tarot spreads, tarot witchcraft, tarot and plant allies, tarot and animals, frequently asked questions, and I just wrapped up my season on tarot and crystals. So like I said, now we are on to season 16 of the podcast, where I'm talking all about queer deities. And today I'm talking about Loki. So we will go through the mythology, queerness, and then tarot affiliations that I see with the deities. And then we will get into a bit about, I'll pull a card and see what message Loki has to share with us. So first, I'm going to be reading from A Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara G. Walker, all about Loki. And then we'll get into some more of Loki's history and mythology. So Loki is a Norse god of complex character and great age. He may have been a genius loci, or spirit of a place. His name may have descended from Sanskrit loka, a spirit of the 7 celestial planes. He was an archaic form of the luck, envisioned as guardian angel of a clan or family, often embodied in a fetish object. One story said Loki's lips were stitched up with a thong, suggesting that his spirit dwelt in a mummified oracle head. Such heads were also used as clan spirits by the early Hebrews, who called them teraphim. To lose them was to lose the family's luck. Obviously not a thing you would want to do. Like many of the oldest gods, Loki was bisexual. He even succeeded in becoming a mother, though only after he swallowed a woman's heart to acquire the power of birth-giving. The Greek Zeus resorted to the same feminine magic for the same reason. Loki's offspring was the eight-legged horse Sleipnir, spirit of death, a symbol of the gallows tree on which Odin rode. Loki was also a death spirit in his own right, like Shiva the Destroyer, who often appeared as Shiva the Destroyed, dead under the feet of Kali the crone, his guts pulled out of his belly and devoured. The same thing happened to Loki, as he was periodically sacrificed to Skadi the crone, which you may have heard about in my Norse goddess rune oracle. Also, like the Oriental god, Loki always came back to life. Though the other Aesir chained him up, as the wolf Fenrir and the troublemaking Prometheus were chained, yet Loki's inevitable destiny was to break free and initiate the ultimate convulsions of the world's doomsday. Aryan belief postulated 7 lokas before the final paradise of Shiva and Shakti. Thus, it may be assumed that Loki would have had 7 incarnations before the final death of the gods. And some bonus information, Loki was sometimes Logi, so Logi, flame, the fire god identified with the Celtic lug, and probably descended from the Aryan Agni Shiva as the lightning fire quenched by his marriage to the goddess of the watery abyss. Indeed, under the name of Agni, the god was an early king of Sweden, married to the goddess Skjalf or Skadi. So very interesting. There, on pride.com, talking about queer gods, they specifically just talk about Greek heroes. So actually Loki is not in here. This is a thing I've referenced for other episodes, but also on the liminal11.com Light at the Crossroads blog, there's an article talking about, is Loki gender fluid in Norse mythology? Because if you're into the Marvel Cinematic Universe at all, Loki has been depicted in there as queer, gender fluid, bisexual, is sort of like in the canon of the Marvel series, but also sort of in the canon of Loki's mythology. So Loki is a shapeshifter, and he is sort of like a clever trickster god of all of them, right? In Norse mythology, Loki is known for spending most of their days making clever remarks and getting the gods in trouble, especially Thor and Odin. However, not all bad. They do spend the other half of their time getting the gods back out of trouble again. Again, like Loki's name is associated with luck, even though like often how Loki is depicted is this sort of like chaotic trickster god. Loki plays with gender more than even like any of the other Norse gods. Loki has been a mother and a father in their time as a masterful shapeshifter who transitions between the sexes as it suits them. So yeah, is Loki gender fluid in Norse mythology? Loki is fluid and changeable. Like we know that Loki's ability to go from one form to another, usually like using that to outwit the gods who have always mocked them for being different, right? Loki is this sort of shadow god, I would say. In one of the most famous of Loki's gender adventures, they suggest that Thor disguise himself as a woman in order to retrieve his stolen hammer. Loki even poses as a handmaiden for Thor, and the mission is a success. The tale was definitely intended to be comedic, as the idea of the most manly of gods, right, as to dress up as a bride gave the Vikings a good old chuckle. But Loki's relationship with gender goes beyond mere trickery. They've always shown interest in what strict Norse society saw as feminine attributes, and Loki crossing the threshold between rigid gender roles added to their divinity. In the Song of Hydnia, Loki consumes the heart of a witch to learn her wisdom. Consuming the heart of creatures was, in Norse folklore, a way to embody them and take on their abilities. So Loki specifically wanted to learn of feminine magic, and by eating the heart, they became pregnant and gave birth to the very first female ogre. In the poem Loki's Quarrel, Loki lives as a milkmaid for 8 years, right? This is not a short-term commitment. And during that time, they were known as a witch and gave birth to many witches. Interestingly enough, Loki has a connection in like gay history as well. In another famous tale, Loki transforms into a mare and gives birth to a 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, right, as I referenced from the encyclopedia. So some people, right, might see that as like a fun story, but there's also, like, the Vikings would have seen this another way. Sex between men was fairly common in Norse society and not necessarily stigmatized, I would say, as it has been a lot of the time, even in Roman as well, unless the man in question was like a receiver rather than a giver. This was likened to weakness. Men would even duel to restore honor after this insult, and a slang term was given to these men, agr. When not used in this context, the word actually means mare or female horse. And so the tale of how Loki transformed into a mare takes on another dimension once we know the social context. And Loki's trickery was intended to save the goddess Freya from a bad marriage. And later Loki gives Sleipnir to Odin, who uses the horse as his steed. Despite the connection to this disparaging slang term, the myth casts Loki in a heroic light. So clearly Norse perceptions of gender and sexuality are maybe different than our modern day. So, can we claim that Loki is a gender fluid god? Like, probably in our modern understanding of it. It's not totally clear whether that would have been seen as the time, or the gender fluidity would have been an identity in it of itself. But mostly that's because of the way that we identify in our modern context. Within the context of the time, Loki very much exhibits gender fluidity in perhaps the most essential way, because they literally shift between genders, right? Like, they are a shapeshifter and has been seen as both a man and a woman. And again, not just for short term things, but like for very long term, like staying as another person for a very long time. Pronoun wise, Loki is usually referred to with male pronouns, sometimes female, but rarely like neutral ones. This is mostly because Old Norse doesn't use pronouns the same way we do. So sometimes women are referred to with masculine pronouns if the adjective describing them is masculine, and neutral pronouns seem to refer to objects rather than people. So this could just be a facet of the language. In this article, right, they chose to use they to refer to Loki because that fits more with our current idea of gender fluidity and how Loki might want to be referred to. Yeah, so again, like, there's a lot of stuff because of Marvel Cinematic Universe's depiction of Loki. So I know that Loki is definitely canon as bisexual, because there's like a part where Loki in Marvel talks about where someone kind of offers like, oh, there have been many princesses you could have like married, or princes, and he's like, yeah, a bit of both. And so that is sort of like canon there. If we think about Loki and again, like sexuality, or like Loki has had like a few partners throughout the legendary sagas, but like enjoys sex, uses shape-shifting to try new and exciting things, and a result has fathered children and mothered children. Loki's first child is with their wife in Asgard, whom Odin and the gods approve of, but Loki also has a giantess lover in Jotunheim and sired 3 famous children with her, which is the world snake, Jörmungandr, who is the largest snake to ever live. The snake is so huge it can circle the earth and bite its tail, so like the Ouroboros in, I believe, Greek, which is like the snake eating its own tail. We have the ruler Hel, and also keeper of some of the dead, who's a girl of half living and half dead flesh. So like that is a child of Loki. And again, I've pulled that card in my Norse goddess rune oracle, because right, this is about the gods in Norse mythology too. And then there's also the giant wolf and devourer of the sun, Fenrir, a small wolf cub that grows to such a colossal size that he will bring the end of the days, which is Ragnarok. So again, if you know anything about Norse mythology, or you are into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you've probably heard of these things. So yeah, and there's also the Sleipnir, which is like the horse. And so even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Odin is riding the horse in the very first like Thor film. So it suggests that the movie version of Loki did indeed give birth to this mystical creature. So yeah, if we think about Loki and tarot affiliations, because they are the shapeshifter that can kind of like move amongst the cards, I think like they could play the Empress, right? They could play the Hermit, even like, or the Ten of Swords, but probably I definitely would associate it with like the Magician, right? Like the Magician, like Loki is full of magical potential, creative prowess. Loki has the almost endless potential to conceive ideas into reality through self-expression in whatever form or gender that they wish. Loki is full of confidence and to be who they are regardless of the world around them. Loki is powerful, and the children they bore were sewn into the fabric of Odin's fate and the fate of the gods. Odin was foolish to treat Loki's children so harshly, and as in the end, it became his undoing, which is a powerful message not to let fear cloud your kindness towards others. So the next time you get the Magician, think of Loki. And maybe they are also hiding in another form of the cards as you shuffle them about, which I love. Other cards that I feel like Loki could be affiliated with are like the Fool, just because like the Fool, right, like we have this unpredictable nature, the knack for initiating great change. Like the Fool, Loki acts often perhaps without considering the consequences and like kind of sparks some chaos sometimes. I mean, you could affiliate it with the Devil because there is this sort of like manipulator, trickster side to Loki that kind of tempts others with hidden desires or disruptions, which kind of aligns with like the devil in the sort of Christian depiction of the devil. This association really highlights like the shadow side, right? Like confronting your flaws and consequences of perhaps like indulgence or kind of like taking something at face value, right? Definitely the Magician because of like kind of the shapeshifterness, like the immense magical ability that Loki has. And then I think you could also do the Tower because Loki's actions bring about sudden and chaotic destruction a lot of the time, right? Like if we think about the Loki's children, that one of them is a snake that encompasses the whole world. One of them is Hel, like, right, literally like the goddess of Hell, the underworld. And then the last one brings about the end of the entire universe, Ragnarok, like, right, like those are really big chaotic destruction things. And I think also in the way that Loki is always kind of like dying and coming back to life, like that is a very Tower ability, right? It's like there's chaotic destruction, and then there's like creating things from that destruction, right? And moving into another role, into another body, into another being. And he is a force that dismantles like existing structures to force change, right? If we think of a literal tower, right? Loki's like, fuck that. Like we can tear it down. Like Loki's very much okay with the idea of like chaotic destruction, and just kind of being unpredictable, right? Which is like part of what we both love and hate about trickster gods, right? It's like that multifaceted trickster persona. It's like you have no idea, like you can't predict, right, what they're gonna do. And again, I feel like as humans, we find that very scary. In that sense, because we would love to be able to just like know what's going to happen, to have a level of control, to feel like we can predict things. And Loki says, no, not going to happen. All right, so let's pull a card from the Norse Goddess Rune Oracle. I'm very curious if we're going to pull something that's Loki related, because like I said, Hel is in here, that goddess, because I have pulled it many times. And she is like half corpse, half human, and is like the goddess of Hel in that she can use the dead as an army. And if you want to learn more about Norse gods and goddesses or the mythology at all. I mean, there's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, the part of it with the Norse gods. I love this Norse goddess rune oracle deck because it also helps me learn more about runes and just a lot of the mythology. Each card has the mythology for the character in the book before they get into the other aspects. And then okay, I did not pull hell. And then also I read the book of Fate Inked in Blood, and there's a second one now as well. And the second one, maybe I won't spoil it, but there's a lot of Norse gods and goddesses in it. It follows Freya and her adventures. But because of what you know from this episode, right, like a lot of the gods are all entwined, and so you get to learn more about them. Let me remember what the second book is called. So it's of the book 2 of the Saga of the Unfated. That's like the book series. So the first one's called A Fate Inked in Blood, and the second one is called A Curse Carved in Bone. So I'll link to the author's page as well if you want to get the books. We read them in a witchy book club that I'm in, which was super fun. So that was like my introduction back into like Norse gods. And because I actually took a Vikings history class when in college, because I went to a Lutheran school, and that's very affiliated with Scandinavia, Norwegian, and like where the Vikings and such came from. So that was one of my extra classes that I took for fun. And so we learned in that sense. That was probably my first big introduction to more of the Norse gods. So, okay, I'll have the link for Danielle Jensen, who wrote the Fate Inked in Blood in that series, if you want to check it out. It's like a romantasy. I'm a fan. And now there's 2 books out. She has another series as well. I don't know if it deals with Norse gods though. Okay, so I pulled number 35, Lagus Murkstov, which is about goddess Ran, about overwhelm, loss of control, and confusion. Okay, confusion, loss of control, chaos. That part sounds like Loki. I am Ran, in the depths I dwell, sailors I drag to my halls in a swell, drowned by the ocean to live on in my realm, may Lagus Murkstov guide you from overwhelm. So Ran is the goddess of the deep sea, casting her net to pull sailors to their doom. Ran is the mother of 9 daughters who personify the ocean waves, and Ran is the goddess of stormy, savage seas who takes drowned men to her hall. So she was the goddess most feared by seafaring people throughout Scandinavia during the Viking Age. Offerings were often made to her in hope that she would provide a calm sea and safe passage over the rolling waves. Ran is depicted as a tempest, the treacherous ocean waters with her 9 daughters forming the waves. Ran and her daughters were often spoken of in fear, anger, or remorse, particularly by those aboard a ship beaten by incessant winds and tumultuous seas. Doomed sailors were caught in Ran's net and dragged to her watery halls, where they live on with her and her husband Aegir. In the Egil's saga Skala Grimsomar, Egil is devastated by the drowning death of his son Bodivar. Having lost another son earlier, Egil composes a poem titled Son's Loss. In this poem, he laments that Ran has deeply shaken him and that the waves have cut another kin from him. Strong emotions, grief, and loss are often the result of Ran's actions, as she is merciless in her ability to overturn ships and send men, women, and children to their watery deathbeds. She is the ocean, holding potential for peace and serenity alongside death and destruction. So Lagus Murkstov, the rune, is a rune of overwhelm. It is being drowned by forces that often reside within, particularly overwhelming strong emotions. It is intimidating, inspiring fear and anxiety, and a loss of control. This rune, reversed, calls your attention to your emotional well-being. Are you drowning in overwhelming emotions? Are you ignoring them and swimming against the tide? Are you carried away emotionally, soon to plummet over the raging waterfall? Emotions are our body's ways of making sense of the world and serve a very important purpose. Reflect upon your emotional state, allowing yourself to feel deeply without judgment. Lagos Merkstoff represents a period of emotional turmoil. This may be from a myriad of reasons, such as traumatic experiences, loss, mental unwellness, or emotional dysregulation. It is important to find something to hold on to. Find the life raft that will provide the stability you need to see out this turmoil. As quickly as the stormy sea appears, it disappears, settling back into a calm, serene ocean filled with mystery and wonder. This card is the reminder that you cannot control all things. Sometimes you need to ride the waves until you resurface as a stronger, more powerful you. Lagos Merkstoff brings a sense of confusion. At times, this can feel as though your intuition or emotional awareness is blocked or chaotic. Constantly swimming against the current will cause you to tire. Instead, it is advised to seek stability, go with the flow, and use your logic to navigate to a safe place. If the tumultuous waves are caused by others that you feel constantly need your rescue, it is time to give yourself stability. Rather than diving in to save those who are drowning, become the lighthouse. Firmly planted on the solid ground, you can light the way for others without risking your own well-being. It is easier to navigate troubled waters when you can see what lies ahead. In the meantime, stay strong, for soon it will calm. Right, so this card is often also about chaos and destruction, but right, also calling us out in a way of saying, like, are you creating that for yourself, right? Like, are you trying to go and rescue other people instead of giving yourself stability, or saying no to others when they ask for certain things of you, right? We are allowed to say no and set boundaries, and sometimes we can get a bit martyred in the fact that, oh, well, everyone needs my help. And like, while that may be true, if you aren't kind of taking care of yourself first, that you're not going to be able to give of yourself to others, even when you choose to. And so, right, this card is about kind of like separating yourself from the chaos and seeing, right, where am I the ship that's just going along, and where am I being run by like allowing myself to be pulled under. All right. Well, thank you for that message, Loki. If you'd like to join me on the journey of using the tarot for transformation, click on the link in the show notes to indicate your interest, and I'll send you some more info. Links for the tarot decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.